Hey, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Yoga Church Digital. We're so grateful to have you this morning. And for all of you that are joining live, we welcome you. Hey, Nicole, good morning, in Georgia. And for those of you that will join later, we know a lot of people can't always join right at the Friday 9 a.m. spot, but you're able to participate later. We just welcome you, and may the grace and peace of God be with you. And if you don't mind, if you would, before we jump into our practice, you can share the practice through a watch party. Those of you that are on Facebook can start a watch party with your friends so they can join into Yoga Church. Or if you're on YouTube, those of you that are joining YouTube Live, you can kind of just share your link out there on whatever it is, social media you use, or email it out. We just want as many people as possible to be able to experience Karen leading us through this practice and our connecting with our higher power in this time of great tension, being able to pause and rest and worship and pray. So we're just grateful for all of you, and please share this out there. Before we get started, I wanted to share one quick announcement. Good morning, Jean. In just a couple weeks coming up here, we're going to have our first spiritual conversation for a difference. August 21st, 10 a.m. We'll keep that to an hour by a Zoom room. So we know many of you who have joined with us regularly, we just want to have a conversation after yoga to be able to really talk about, how you're experiencing yoga. What are some spiritual practices that you're finding helpful that you would share with us? Just kind of having a conversation around what different ways are you connecting with your higher power that you're finding effective, and really rather than just going through the practice together, have a little bit of time to have a conversation afterwards. So please join us for that. Again, it'll be August 21st, 10 a.m. right after yoga. We'll post a link, and then we'll just kind of jump into a Zoom room after. And feel free to share that with any friends that you would as well. So let me do a quick little devotional, and then I'll turn it over to Karen. I've been looking at the book of Exodus and found it intriguing that here is this little small journey from Egypt to what would later become Israel. The wilderness is really not that big, and yet the people kind of wander around in that wilderness for 40 years. And I thought about the time that we're in right now with the pandemic going on, how we're kind of in this time of in-betweenness or liminality between what is and what was and what used to be and what's coming. And this little couple verses here I wanted to look at this morning are in the book of Exodus, the 16th chapters, verses 2-4. You don't have to be a Christian or really any particular religious persuasion to join us here at Yoga Church, but this happens to be just the spiritual path of following Jesus that Karen and I have chosen. So we're sharing from these scriptures. And interestingly, in this Exodus 16, the people start to get really stir crazy. They're grumbling. They don't know where they're going. And they start to look back at Egypt and say things like, if only we died there. There we sat around the pots of meat and ate all our food. And, we had everything we ever wanted there in Egypt. But you brought us out here to die in this desert. And Moses, who's the leader of the people, says, through God speaks to the people and says, I'll rain down bread from heaven for you. And every day the people gathered and collected enough bread from heaven for each day. Something interesting I think about the pandemic time has been what the wilderness people are doing there is they're kind of idealizing Egypt and saying, oh, look how great Egypt was. It was amazing. We had all the food and flesh pots and everything. It was awesome. They kind of forgot about, the slavery and the whips and making bread, bricks without straw and all those things, and the forced labor, right? And so there's this human tendency for us to look back and to kind of idealize our past and maybe to make it into something that it wasn't. And in a time of change and wilderness, like what we're experiencing in a pandemic age, it's really a time to ask new questions and to allow our higher power to lead us into a new future and kind of leave behind some of the comfortable, familiar stuff of Egypt and see what future God might be calling us into. And I know that's true in my own personal life. I'm thinking, what are the things I need to leave behind to learn to live into this new space? It's certainly a question I think that churches should be asking, because when we look back on church history, we can say things weren't really that great back in Egypt, pre-pandemic. And what are we learning in this time? And how are we using whatever your holy scriptures are to kind of evaluate and reconfigure our traditions? And what kind of people will we need to be to go into this new space, this new promised land that's coming? And what spiritual practices have we learned in the desert that we can carry forward? So I thought that the other key thing there was that God was teaching the people to rely on God one day at a time. I will send bread from heaven. I will care for you. I will make sure that your needs are met if you live in this relationship of faith and trust with me. And so my intention today, as I'm practicing being led by Karen this morning, I'm going to be thinking about the goodness of God, who provides day after day our needs, who can rain bread from heaven, and who cares for us and wants to be in a relationship with us, even in hard times of disorientation and change. He's a God who promises to be with us and to care for us. So thank you for letting me share that this morning, and I'm going to turn it over to Karen. Can y'all give it up for Karen? Give some likes and loves and social media love, please.
Well, thank you, Michael. Welcome everyone to yoga. Know that before we begin that this practice is really your practice, so it's important that you keep that in mind as you go through your practice today. To listen to your body and to only do what feels good for your body. Nothing should hurt. And if it hurts or doesn't feel right, it's okay not to do it. It's important that you listen to your body and only do what feels good for you. But let us go on and start with the heart of yoga, which is breath. So let's close our eyes and just begin to breathe. Being aware of your breath and just clearing the mind of any clutter, anxiety, negativity, expectations. Take this time for yourself to listen to your heart, to listen to your soul. As you breathe and become more aware of your breath. Continue to breathe with your eyes closed, maybe changing your breath pattern to a deep inhale in through the nose, followed by a really long exhale through the mouth. And as you breathe, as your mind clears, maybe you find an intention for your practice today. Something like what Michael was talking about, that he would just think of all the goodness in the past and to just meditate on that and to what we can do better today now that we live in a different world with this pandemic. So maybe your intention might be something as simple as showing gratitude for all that you do have. Or maybe it's grace or forgiveness. And it's okay if you don't have an intention today. Maybe you just want to just be in the moment and just practice your yoga practice from your home and just enjoy the movement. So whatever it is, whatever reason you have for being here, it's okay. Let it just be this time for you. And with that, let's open our eyes, sit nice and tall, take your arms out long with your palms up. Inhale to float the hands up and exhale, hands over heart center and namaste. Inhale, floating the hands up, reaching up high. It's a big stretch. And exhale, going to float your fingers down. Inhale to float the hands up. Exhale, hands over heart center, maybe nodding. Maybe gazing up as you reach your hands up. Reach out nice and long. This should feel really good, like a big good morning stretch. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Remember to move at your own pace and let your breath guide your movement. Inhale and exhale. One more big stretch, floating your arms out as long as you can reach, floating your fingertips down to the earth. As we go into some slow side stretches, flipping the left palm up and taking it up and over, alternating side to side. Remember to let your breath guide your movement so that you don't move too quickly. Slower is better if you have any joint issues or any pain or just something that feels tight, whether it's an ankle or your back or your knees, whatever you feel that you need some healing. Just slow down your movement and allow the healing to take place. One more big side stretch up and over, floating your hands down by your side, resting your hands, sitting as tall as you can, bending your knees. So you can either have folded legs or maybe you take your feet out in somewhat of a seated butterfly position. So we bend our knees to protect our spine. Another way to protect your spine is to pull your belly into your spine. And from here, we're going to go into a seated cat and cow. Hinge forward, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze. Inhale. And on the exhale, nod your chin and slowly roll your spine back. Inhale forward into seated cow. And exhale into seated cat. Inhale. And exhale, holding your seated cat pose, rounding your spine, letting your head hang heavy, relaxing your shoulders and your elbows and your wrist as we go into some very slow half neck circles. Inhale to slowly roll your chin up to your left shoulder. When you get there, sit as tall as you can. And then inhale, dropping the chin back to the chest, rounding the spine, letting the rib cage cave in. Exhale, coming up to the right shoulder with your chin and sitting nice and tall. Inhale, bringing the chin to the chest, rounding the spine. Exhale, coming up to the left shoulder and sitting as tall as you can. And one more half neck circle. Inhale. And exhale, sit nice and tall. Bring your gaze back to the center and grow even taller through the crown of the head, relaxing the shoulders down away from the ears. Side neck stretches. Go on and let your left earlobe fall towards your left shoulder with a heavy head. And breathe. On the next breath, lifting your head back up to the center, only to slowly look over your right shoulder with breath. Inhale to look over the shoulder. Exhale to come back to the center, growing tall once again as we let our right earlobe fall towards our right shoulder with a heavy head. And breathe. On the next breath, lifting the head back to the center, only to look over our left shoulder with breath. Inhale to look over the shoulder. Exhale to come back to the center. Let's move right into our staff pose. Straighten your legs out in front of you, grounding your legs by pointing your toes up towards the ceiling. Maybe use your fingertips under your armpits to grow even taller. How tall can you grow? You can stay here in staff pose, or if you want more, you can float your hands up to the ceiling for a nice stretch. And keeping your biceps right over your ears, hinge 2 or 3 inches forward. Still continuing to reach for the ceiling. And pause here for 3 breaths. You'll feel this stretch from the fingertips all the way down the arms, down the spine, through the backs of the legs, and energy flowing through the heels and through the fingertips. You can stay here, or if your spine allows you, forward fold, bringing your nose to your knees, maybe bending your knees because you need to, or just trying to straighten them with each breath. Know that it's contraindicated to forward fold if you're over 65. So do listen to your body here and only move in ways where it feels good for you. Maybe with each breath, you just try to straighten your legs just a little more. Inhale, and on the exhale, slowly round the spine up, one vertebra stacking on top of the other, lifting the chin last. Let's go on and just pull that left knee in towards our chest as we go into spinal rotation. You can cross your left foot over your right leg if you wish or not. Use your knee to grow nice and tall. You can stay here. I like to wrap my opposite arm around my knee and rotate around to your left first, sitting nice and tall, lifting your eyes and lifting your heart and breathing deep. On the next breath, come around, maybe switch your arm grip as you slowly grow tall and slowly rotate around to your right, lifting your eyes, lifting your heart, and breathing so deep that you feel the inhalation in your lungs and your rib cage. On the next breath, come back around to the center, and let's just drop that knee down as we go into our hamstring stretch. So your left ankle is right above your right knee, sit nice and tall. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you want more. You can lean back with a long spine, sliding your right heel in, only to hinge forward with that long spine. Bringing your chest towards your lifted calf, cradling your knee and gently rocking it. Or maybe you like to cradle the whole lower leg. What's so neat about yoga is that we're all built differently, so we all move differently, which means we all look differently. So only move in ways that your body likes to move. Inhale and exhale. Gentle, gentle rocking. On the next breath, we're going to release as we uncross the legs, going and straighten out your left leg, pulling your right knee in towards your chest, using your knee to get as tall as you can. Taking your opposite elbow around that knee. It's okay to cross that foot over your straightened leg if you wish. And slowly rotate around to your left, lifting your eyes, lifting your heart, and breathing deep. On the next breath, slowly come back around to the center. Switch your arm grip as you slowly rotate in the other direction. Once again, lifting your gaze, lifting your heart, and breathing deep. Inhale, and on the exhale, coming back to the center and dropping that right knee down so your right ankle's right above your left knee. Maybe you stay here. This is a great stretch. It really works better for men to stay here. But if you want to try to go a little bit farther in your stretch, lean back with a long spine as you slide that left heel in, only to lean forward with a long spine. Chest comes to the calf, cradling the knee and gently rocking it. Maybe cradling the lower leg and gently rocking it. Remember to keep your spine long here. And on the next breath, we'll release this stretch as we bring the soles of the feet together for a seated cobra or seated butterfly. So it's okay if your feet are out in front. If you have lower back issues, that's where you want them. Or maybe you want a little more. You just try to get a little closer, wiggle yourself forward. Hold on to your knees, your shins, or your ankles, wherever it feels good for you, sitting as tall as you can, relaxing the shoulders, down away from the ears. As we go into a lower back stretch, if you have any herniated disc or lower back issues, you might want to just stay here and not go any farther. Otherwise, go ahead and float your elbows over your inner knees, tuck your chin into your chest, and let your nose fall towards your feet as you softly press the inner knees towards the earth. On the next breath, slowly round your spine up to tall spine. Take your knees together. We're going to transition to our hands and knees, bringing our hands to the front of our mat. Hands go underneath the shoulders. Knees go underneath the hips. Keep the wrists and the ankles all in alignment as we go to kneeling cat and cow. Top your chin, round your back and pelvis. Slowly draw the belly here. Lift your eyes and your heart. Do kneeling out. Lifting all out there. And one more in. And go on and round your spine like a kneeling cat and hip circles. And big hip circles. Switching the direction of your circle with each circle. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And one more big circle. Inhale and exhale. Let's drop into an extended child's pose. Extending your hands away from your shoulders. Dropping your forehead and your elbows down to your mat and breathe 3 breaths here. So know that child's pose is a modification or an option of variation you can do from downward dog. As we move into our vinyasas, they can be challenging, so it's important that you listen to your body and modify where you need to. So from child's pose, you can stay there or come up to your hands and knees, tucking your toes under, lifting the knees and the sits bones into downward dog. So in downward dog, your heels are up but pressing towards the earth. As you press the earth away with the balls of your feet and the heels of your hands, reaching your sits bones up as high as you can, keeping your eyes on your knees so that your neck stays in alignment with your spine. Let's go in and press our left heel down, bending your right knee. Press your right heel down, bending your left knee. Maybe pick up the pace using your breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale, pressing both heels down as far as you can as you press your sits bones up as high as you can. And then lifting your heels as high as you can as you press your shoulders up over your wrist into a nice plank. So in plank, it's perfectly okay to drop your knees and uncurl your toes. Or maybe you want more challenge and progression, keeping your knees up, trying to keep your body as straight as you can, like a board, a plank. That's why we call it plank. So we will be going through planks in every vinyasa that we do, trying to hold our planks for at least 3 good long breaths. If you have wrist issues, you can always come down to your elbows. From plank pose, we're going to move into cobra. So bend your elbows and slowly lower your entire body, chest and everything down to the mat. Only to lift your chin and your chest a little if you have lower back issues, or maybe you can go higher. You know where you can go. Listen to your body. And cobra pose, just lift your heart and breathe. We're going to go into our next vinyasa, into child's pose where you can stay. Or maybe you come right back up into downward dog with me, pressing the left heel down, right, left, right, left, right, pressing both heels down as you press your sits bones up. And then lifting your heels up so that you can drop your shoulders over your wrist. Alignment's very important in plank pose. So you want your wrist under your shoulders instead of your face to protect your shoulders. Maybe you drop your knees. That's okay too. Remember, you can modify however you need to. I like to encourage you to pull your belly into your spine during plank pose. You can go back into cobra or you can join me for chaturanga. And chaturanga, it's kind of challenging because it takes a lot of upper body strength as you lower your body and hold your body up with your elbows and breathe. So you can stay in chaturanga or you can drop back down to your cobra You can do a combination. Just let it work for you. On the next breath, going back into child's pose where maybe you stay or maybe you join me for downward dog once again. Pressing the left heel down, right, left, right, pressing both heels down and sits bones. As we go into our next vinyasa, lift your heels so that you can drop your shoulders right over your wrists. Straighten out your body. Maybe you drop your knees, maybe not. Hold your plank for at least 3 breaths. If you feel any lower back pain, go on and lift your hips up a little higher. It's okay to pike. It's not okay to sag the hips. It's not good for the lower back. And next we're going to go into up dog, or maybe you go into cobra. Go in and uncurl the toes. Slowly float the hips towards the earth as you lift your heart, lift your gaze, and breathe. It's important that your elbows are right by your sides here to help support your upper body in up dog. Breathe 2 more breaths. And drop back into child's pose where maybe you stay or maybe you come back up into downward dog. Once again, pressing the left heel down, right, left, right, pressing both heels down, sits bones up. As we go into our next vinyasa, come into plank. Knees up or knees down. We're going to turn into a side plank, floating your left arm up. It's okay to bring your knee down if you need to or not. And going to float back down to the center, only to take your left knee under your chest as we go into kneeling pigeon. Push your back foot as far back as you can as you lift your heart, you lift your gaze. And then maybe you drop down to your elbows. Maybe you drop your forehead to your mat, or you make a pillow for your forehead, one fist on top of the other. And breathe 3 breaths here. On the next breath, come on back into your child's pose where maybe you're staying. It's a great stretch, or maybe you're coming back into downward dog with me. Pressing your left heel down, right, left, and right, pressing both heels down, sits bones up, and breathe. Pressing back into your plank. Maybe you stay there or join me for a right side plank. Be sure your neck stays in alignment with your spine. I tend to drop my head. My head is heavy. But if you can lift your head up, that's important. And I'm going to rotate that hand back down. As you're in the center plank, we're going into kneeling pigeon, sliding the right knee under. You can wiggle that right foot right over to the other side of the mat. Push your back foot back. Maybe you stay up. Maybe you drop down. And breathe 3 breaths here. If you're feeling any tightness in this stretch, it's okay. It's a very challenging stretch. Maybe you can release any tension you're feeling with your own breath. With each breath, exhale just a little bit of tension away. It's amazing how healing your breath can be if you allow it to heal. On the next breath, come on up, push back into your child's pose. You can stay there, or you can come with me to downward dog. You press your left heel down, right, left, right, pressing the heels down. You can stay in child's pose if that is where you are. If you're in downward dog, you want to go to more of a progressive pose. I'm going to hop forward into a deep runner squat. So just hop into your squat. Maybe you just come into your squat by lifting up your knees and your heels and crouch. So crouch kind of looks like this, and deep squat kind of looks like this. And breathe. From there, we're going to go back into our child's pose or downward dog. As we press our left heel down, right, left, right, both heels pressing down. Next, you can either walk forward or hop forward into a standing forward fold. Tuck your chin, let the crown of your head face your toes. Bend your knees if you need to. Relax, hanging down like a rag doll. Go ahead and bend your right knee, straighten your left leg. Bend your left knee, straighten your right, and continue. Left knee bends, right, left, right, left, right. Bend both knees. Float your arms up in a chair pose. Your feet should be about 2 feet apart. Pull your belly into your spine. Reach your hands up. Gaze down. Be sure you see your toenails. If your knees are over your toenails, lift up a little higher into bar stool. And breathe. Inhale, exhale, stand all the way up. Circle your arms all the way around until your hands are over heart center. We're going to go right into our balance poses. I think we're pretty warmed up, so we don't need to do any more warm-up. So I like to do tree pose every week to see so you can kind of monitor your own progression. And remember, every day is a new day. So some days are good and some are not, and that's okay. So I'm standing on a pretty cushy mat, which kind of throws me off a little, but I like that challenge. So you can either get off your mat, you can hold on to a wall or a chair, whatever it takes for you to challenge your own balance, your own core. So let's start with our hands over our heart, lifting up your left heel, and then letting it sit against your right inside ankle. Now it's important that your right sole of your foot is pressing into the earth. Grow as tall as you can and have confidence. Using your breath, try to just stabilize here. Find a spot that's not moving. Maybe float your foot up because you want more challenge, maybe not. Breathe 5 breaths in your tree pose. I know that it's the challenges in our life, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, it's those challenges that help us to become stronger. So invite that challenge into your being, into your awareness. It's okay to feel challenged. It only makes us stronger. On the next breath, drop the foot and bring your hands down by your side for mountain pose. Palms are forward, arms are hanging down and relaxed. Close your eyes in mountain pose. This is a foundational pose here for yoga. Mountain pose helps us to remember to be sturdy, to grow taller, to be strong, to be connected to the earth, to the universe, to open up space, to lift our heart, to lift our whole being. Let the energy flow up through you and just feel the energy, feel the connection all the way through the soles of your feet. So I have my eyes closed to take away one of my senses, my eyesight, just to help my balance. Taking away one of your senses helps your brain to remember that connection. Let us invite balance into our lives, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Balance comes with stability, comes with breath. On the next breath, open your eyes. Inhale to float your hands up. Exhale, hands over, heart center, as we go into tree pose on the other side. So lifting up your upper heel, maybe letting it sit against your inside ankle. Remember to pull your belly into your spine, to grow tall, and to use your breath to stabilize. feel like you could use more challenge, maybe you float your foot up a little bit. And breathe. Use your breath to stabilize. Feel the connection of your left sole of your foot to the earth. And breathe. Grow tall like you did in your mountain pose. Lift your heart, lift your gaze, and breathe. Inhale, on exhale, release. Come to the front of your mat. We're going to go right into our warriors before we go down to the mat for Savasana. We'll go through a warrior series. Warrior 2 is the most stable pose. You can stay there or go there whenever you need. So we're going to step back with our left foot as far back as you can. So the bigger the base, the better. So this is not a big base that I have. So maybe you step back a few times because the bigger the base, the easier it is to stabilize. Go on and bend your front knee, reach your hands up high, you're going to crescent lunge. Now this next move, while it's small, it's very challenging. Go on and take your back foot and turn it out to the side and rotate your body a little bit and go forward. Warrior 1. Warrior 2, you're going to bring your right arm forward, left arm back. This is Warrior 2. This is your reset pose. This is where you come if you feel at any time that you're about to fall or you don't feel balanced or you just need a little break. And then Peaceful Warrior, dropping your back hand to your back leg, flipping your front palm up, reaching up towards the sky, or maybe you take it up a little higher or even towards the back. And then from Peaceful Warrior, we're going to go right into side angle. So as you come into Warrior 2, you drop your front elbow to your front knee. Reach your back hand up as high as you can. Gaze down to your front big toe. Or maybe you want more, you can gaze up. Maybe you extend it, sliding your hand down towards your ankle or your mat. And breathe. From here, we're going to come back up. Only for a second, Warrior 2, as you go back into Peaceful Warrior. And from Peaceful Warrior, we're going to go into triangle. So straighten out that front knee. As you come back into Warrior 2, transitioning into triangle, dropping your front hand to your thigh, shin, ankle, gazing down through your big toe or up to your front hand, and breathe. And from here, as we windmill our top hand down, we're going to turn our back foot forward as we come into a deep runner's lunge. So in your runner's lunge, it's important that your ankle is under your knee to protect your knee. You can stay here, or maybe join me for a twist. Go on and plant that left hand down as you rotate your right arm up with a twist and breathe. And then windmill that top hand down, straddling your front foot. We're going to push back up into crescent lunge, floating your arms long and up towards the ceiling. Be careful here. Reach. Maybe you use your hands on top of your thighs. Maybe you hold on to a chair. And then back into Warrior 1. And Warrior 2. And Peaceful Warrior. We're just going to flow through this one more time. Side angle. Peaceful Warrior. Triangle. And back to Warrior 2. Take your back arm forward, back into Warrior 1, back into Crescent Lunge, lift your back heel, turn your back foot, swoop your arms down, long as you come to the front of your mat. So that was a little challenging, and hopefully, like my friend Maggie here, hopefully we will do only what challenges us, because that's what makes us stronger, right? All right, now the other side, hands on your heart. Go on and take your right foot back, not a little, but a lot. So the farther you can stand back and you can hold on to something if you need to. Be sure you have a safe place to do your yoga. Reach your hands up high into crescent lunge. So the longer your back leg is, the easier it is to stabilize. We're going to turn that back foot out and rotate your body a little more forward into Warrior 1. And then warrior two, dropping your left arm forward. Ideally, your wrist would be over your ankles. It's just a direction that we work towards. And then peaceful warrior. Drop your back hand to your back leg, flip your front palm up. Maybe you stay here, maybe you reach up a little, a lot, or even towards the back. And from peaceful warrior, we move right into side angle. You can transition into warrior two first if you'd like, dropping your front elbow to your front knee, floating your back hand up, gazing down to that big toe, protecting that neck. Maybe you want a little more, it takes a little more balance to gaze up to the top hand. Or maybe you still want more, you can slide that hand down for an extended side angle. Right. And then coming back very quickly into warrior two, only to move back into peaceful warrior. And then from peaceful warrior, we'll go right into triangle, straighten out your front knee, warrior two, right into triangle. So your hand can come to your thigh or your shin or your ankle here. You can gaze up or you can gaze down. And then as we windmill this top hand down into a deep runner's lunge, turning the back foot forward. Making sure our front ankle is under our front knee. You can stay here, it's a wonderful stretch, or you can plant that right hand down as you float your left arm up for a twist. And then float that top hand down, coming back slowly into crescent lunge. Yeah. And we'll flow through our flow one more time, a little bit quicker. Going to turn your back foot out, warrior one, warrior two, peaceful warrior, side angle, peaceful warrior, triangle, and warrior two. Going to take your back arm forward, reach up into warrior one, turn your back foot forward, sweep the arms forward, back into standing. Good job. All right, now we're going to do a swan dive or two, and then we'll go back down to the mat. So hands over heart, soft, soft knees here. I'm going to do the modified first and then a progression second. So modified swan dive, float the hands up and float the hands all the way down to the tops of the knees, flip the palms. Pretend you're taking a big bundle of love and energy all the way up and you're taking it from heaven into your hearts. Inhale up, progression, all the way down to the ankles and the knees a little more. Imagine it's a heavy bundle of love, bringing that love into your heart. And again, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. This time, we're going to swan dive down and stay down, only to come back down to our hands and knees. As we transition back into our buttocks, you can cross your ankles or you can just swoop your feet around. Coming back to your buttocks, feet in front. As we move into boat pose. Before we do, it's important that you don't stay on your tailbone here. So I like to help you move through this to the right position so that it feels good for your body. Hold your hands behind your knees. Roll past your tailbone. As far back as you can, your arms should be straight here. Gaze down to your belly and pull your belly into your spine. Keep pulling your belly into your spine as you drop the shoulders, lift your heart, lift your gaze, lift your legs into boat pose. Maybe you have to hold on down here. Maybe you want more, you can reach. Maybe you want a progression, you can straighten your legs and breathe. Three more breaths. Maybe you bend your knees. Maybe you bring one foot down at a time. Remember, it's your boat. Your boat pose. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward. Hands come back behind the knees to help you grow as tall as you can. As we move into Savasana, the most important part of our practice, our final relaxation. Roll past your tailbone once again. But this time you're going to lift your feet and slowly roll one vertebra at a time with your eyes on your belly until your head comes down to your mat or pillow. Pull your knees into your chest and gently rock them side to side. Just there, hug your knees. You can close your eyes here and enjoy the final part of our practice, our final relaxation, where energy will flow through our body. The more that we relax, the more energy that will flow. So we can go into our final savasana with our legs up the wall. You can reach your big toes up to the ceiling and stay there. Or maybe you drop your feet down and go into supine butterfly. Or maybe you straighten your legs. Take your arms out into a T with your palms up. Close your eyes and just melt into your mat. Try not to skip this part of your practice. A lot of people who are very active don't really have time to just lay there and relax. But know that this really is the most important part of your practice, is taking this time for yourself to just be in the moment. Maybe you have an intention. Maybe it's gratitude. Think back on your past and think of what was good in your past and what's even better now that we're in this pandemic. And what can we do to change to make things even better? What are the good things? Not to ignore the bad things, because they too can challenge us and make us stronger. So let us be thankful in our hearts for all the good and for the bad, for the past and for the future and for today. So just relax your mind, your body, your spirit, and your breath. Melting into your mat, relaxing your toes, balls of your feet, ankles, your knees, your calves, your thighs. Can you relax your buttocks? Just let them melt into your mat. If they feel uneven, just grab them and wiggle them. Do what it takes to totally relax. Relax your back, your lower back, your middle back, upper back, and your shoulders, all the way into your arms, the insides of your elbows, insides of your wrists, the palms of your hands, your fingers, your thumbs, even your hip bones in your pelvis. Relax your belly, your rib cage, your chest, your neck, your scalp, all the muscles in your face. Just relax them. We hold on to so much tension in the muscles in our face. See if you can just relax your entire face. Forehead, your eyebrows, your eyelids, cheekbones, your nose, chin, ears, your earlobes, your jaw, your teeth. You can unclench your teeth, let them part. Let your tongue fall away from your teeth, relax your lips, and just be in the moment, be aware of your senses. What do you hear? You hear cars, maybe you hear a TV, maybe you hear kids, you hear people cutting grass. It's all part of our life. Embrace your senses, embrace the world around you. Open your hearts and let them be filled with love. Your hearts be filled with love, love of yourself, and love of others. May your hearts be filled with grace, grace in all circumstances. May your hearts be filled with forgiveness. Let's forgive ourselves and forgive others, which leads us to peace. May your hearts be filled with peace. May your hearts be full of gratitude and joy today. Gratitude for this day. for this time, for our lives. Let us inhale as deep as you can in through the nose, so deep and long that your tummy rises high, high, high. Pause. And then exhale through your mouth, a long exhale, all the old air out of your body, renewing the old air for new air. And again, inhale deep. And let me hear your exhale. The healing power of breath. Inhale. And exhale. And return to normal breath. In through the nose and out through the nose. And slowly roll over onto your side and make your way up to a seated position. Take your time as we have a few more things to do before we end our practice. I'd like to take the time at the end of our practice for prayer request. Maybe you pray silently. Maybe you open up in your own home, whatever your prayer request may be. Maybe you type them in. Let us pray for each other. We are here together in the spirit, not physically. So let us pray. Inhale, and on the exhale, sit tall, open your eyes. Take your arms out long with your palms up. I hope you feel renewed and restored in your practice today. And maybe you have a new heart of gratitude. I wish and I pray for gratitude for you, for today, and for all that we have. Inhale to float the hands up. And exhale, hands over heart center. Peace be with you. And namaste.
Thank you, Karen.
There we go.
All right. Thank you so much for blessing us. And yeah, I just want to say a quick welcome, because it's not every week that we have somebody join us from Australia, the land down under. And Sandy, I know you're on a completely different time zone on the other side of the world. So thanks for joining us this morning. And everybody, yes, thank you for all your prayers that you entered. And we will close with the Lord's Prayer. This is the prayer that Jesus taught his disciples. You don't have to be a Christian to kind of appreciate this prayer, because it kind of covers all the bases. But we did post in the chat the link to the first spiritual conversation for a difference, August 21st, 10 a.m. So we'll go right out of the yoga practice and just go into that time. We want to know what about yoga has been helpful for you, how you've been growing spiritually, suggestions maybe, and maybe you have some spiritual practices you want to share with us. So we'll do that all in a Zoom room format. So let's pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. Thanks everybody for joining us today.